there we are. We got this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Mike and Garrett.
Howdy.
And how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great today, actually.
These things always freak me out. We're using different technology here. This restream thing, and it's weird. I feel like we're off training wheels without Aaron sitting there, Travis, and it's giving me different icons and like, yeah, is this what you want to do? And I'm like, I guess. Yeah, we'll try that.
If it makes you feel any better, I always have 2 windows open with the Facebook stream and the YouTube stream paused, just in case.
Good. And so you're able to read comments if anyone gives comments. And we're still doing the what are the pay comments? Super chats. Yeah. So if anybody wants to do a super chat, that's how you do it. And I'm getting excited, man. I got a text from a friend, Marisa, today about she was at some fancy hotel in Colorado, and there was a big poster autographed by Steve Poltz.
Oh, that's cool.
She's like, check it out. And so I texted Steve. I was like, hey, look what Marisa ran into in Colorado. He's like, hell yeah. And I was like, hey, by the way, when are you coming to Scottsdale, Phoenix area? And I'd love to get together. And he's like, December 5th. I was like, oh, hell yeah. I'm like, dude, the studio should be done by then. We'll have to get you in. And so I think we're going to be able to make that work. Hopefully, that would be amazing. Steve is, if you were to ask me personally, like one guest, like one, who would you have in? It's Steve. Steve was my favorite guest ever on the Drew and Mike show. And I've been to a dozen shows of his over the years. He's an amazing interviewer, amazing performer. And so I hope to God, we have talked about him being on the show many, many times. And with his schedule, it's always like, well, I'll call in. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing a fucking call in with you, dude. Forget it. I'm not doing a Zoom with you or a call in. So
now we are. So
yeah, well, doing this is fine. But with a professional musician on his level, no, I'm doing that in studio or I'm not doing it. It just seems like a waste to me.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to put that together. Also, just laying on the calendar, I think I'm going out to Dallas September 26th to do a Landau show. So I wanted something later in the week so it didn't affect this show too much. And that's on a Thursday, sort of kind of fuck up a Wednesday and a Thursday. But what are you going to do?
It'll get you a normal world.
Yeah, exactly. So that was important. And I wanted to be on with Dave. I know they have fill-in guests and stuff. So, and that can happen anyways, but hopefully that works out. But I'm excited for that. Get out of here for a couple days, go to Dallas, see him, and do that show. That's always a good time. Anytime sitting out with Landau's a lot of fun. Before we get into it today, I should do a read for us. This part of the show is brought to you by our dear friends at the Deer Lake Athletic Club. Deer Lake Athletic Club offers full gym, fitness classes, 3 pools, swim lessons, tennis, pickleball, and more. The Backcourt restaurant inside the Deer Lake Athletic Club has weekly specials like Taco Tuesday, kids meals for $5 on Thursdays, live entertainment on Fridays, and their newest Sippin' Saturdays featuring half-off wine and appetizers. Call 248-625-8686 for more info. That's 248-625-8686. Stop in at 6167 White Lake Road in Clarkston or visit their website at deerlakeathletic.com. And thank you for the support, guys. And it really is a great place. Great food, great atmosphere, great people. The staff is awesome. So please go over there and show some support. Tell them we said hello. And been spending the last day watching media meltdown over Trump and Elon Musk doing an interview. God forbid, you have a couple people have a conversation for a couple hours. It's like, holy shit, democracy might be on the line. What's that?
Talk like civilized people, just sit down.
Yeah, and if that's not the end of democracy, I honestly, I don't know what is. Let's be honest. I mean, when you have 2 adults sitting down and just bullshitting for 2 hours, I mean, it's dangerous. What we're doing right now is technically a risk to democracy. Let's be honest.
Pretty dangerous.
I don't know how many lies I've told so far. but thank God the fact checkers aren't here to fact check me. I may have spit out a couple lies already. I don't know, but thank God they're there to protect us. You know.
Well, I'm sure the UK will be here in a second to give us a cease and
Yeah,
desist.
yeah, and they're threatening lawsuits now.
Oh, awesome.
For people, even people overseas. So a lawsuit could become. I mean, we're a danger to society. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, just having conversations, asking questions can obviously incites lots of violence. We've seen that forever. So if we end up in a UK prison at some point, that's fine. I saw some kid was sentenced Friday. This asshole judge is still wearing a wig. He's like, you are
That's
danger to society, and confinement is the only answer. And sentenced this fucking kid to 20 months in prison. 20 months in prison for a Facebook post. I think he said something like they're getting really pissy about the migrant shit going on.
Well, they know they fucked up.
Well, it's not pretty. And a lot of people are like, hey, man, we didn't ask for this, and this isn't a lot of fun. And there's a lot of murders and rapes that don't need to be because these people aren't supposed to be here anyways. And it's like, shut the fuck up. How dare you? You're a danger to society. Lock him up for 20 months. I think this guy talked about burning something down. So I don't know what they're...
It was like a local theater.
Yeah.
I think...
Where migrants
either
are
local
staying?
Theater or hotel, where migrants were staying.
Yeah, yeah. And that definitely gets into a sketchier ground.
Yeah, you can't
for sure.
threaten something, but...
Yeah. I mean, when people burn down buildings and cities here, we just go, hey, we hear you. Your voice is important. It matters. This is freedom at work. But over there, they might take that seriously if you burn something down or just say it. Just say it. I'm not one for arguing like, oh, if you're so mad at something, go burn it down. I think that's fucking lunacy. 20 months seems a bit much to send a message, but hey, whatever they do. But they're going to go after Donald Trump and Elon Musk now, I believe. They're getting the full media press over here is what we're seeing. The Washington Post is criticizing Elon Musk's interview with Trump on X, saying that he just asked softball questions. That's all he did. According to X, the interview and the discussion that revolved around it generated nearly 1 billion views. The Washington Post, which commonly repeats Democratic talking points, titled their piece, "Trump returns to X with technical glitches and softball questions from Musk." Huge embarrassment for Musk. Huge. Yeah. I mean, this is just an absolute embarrassment for him. Technical difficulties, as if anyone doing this doesn't know exactly what that's like.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially when he was able to tell you what was going on with the technical problems and have them solved in like under a half hour.
In real time. Yeah. Which is amazing because if you've ever had technical difficulties, it can be an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
I remember we got knocked off the air for quite a while at Riff, a couple times. Coffee spilled did it once. And there was another time, I can't remember exactly, but we were off the air for an hour and a half, maybe something like that. So, there appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X, working on shutting it down. Worst case, we will proceed with a smaller number of live listeners and post the conversation later.
Yeah.
Fine.
Sounds like he had a plan B anyways.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with that. The Post, however, framed the glitches as an absolute embarrassment for Musk and Trump. Total embarrassment for Trump too. I mean, as the guest sitting there waiting patiently, what a humiliating thing for him. I mean, I don't know how he gets over it, honestly. Washington Post, I got to side with them on this one. It was the latest mishap for the Republican nominee as he has sought to regain his footing amid a surge in Democratic enthusiasm for his new rival, Kamala Harris. The joint appearance was also high-profile embarrassment for Elon Musk, their words, not mine, which has faced numerous outages since the entrepreneur's takeover and suffered from a server meltdown during the presidential campaign last year. The Post insisted it must focus on comfortable topics for Trump's, such as undocumented immigration. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the number one priority for American citizens.
Yeah.
Seems like Trump's opinion on the Washington Nationals seems to take a backseat to immigration, as crazy as that may sound. So the fact that they were discussing that, I appreciated that. Recent Gallup poll done less than a month ago, immigration has now passed the government as the most often cited problem after the two issues tied for the top position the past 2 months. So, seems like something that would be talked about. Crime is really high on people's lists, the economy, and immigration. It's what people are talking about.
I think the overseas wars, the immigration problem we have here in our economy, we're like the three voted on most serious issues, and I'm pretty sure all three of those got covered pretty in depth.
Yeah. Do you have the Washington Post reporter, by the way? Do you have that video? And I believe it's only a minute long clip, and then they go on to something else. So be prepared to stop it. But prior to the conversation, this disgusts me almost more than anything. These reporters, I do that in air quotes, reporters, pressing the White House on, they're almost asking the press secretary for the president, like, is there anything we could do to shut this down? Like, how do we let these two adults have a conversation? And what if people hear it and there's misinformation? Like, what do we do? If you have the video there, go ahead and play it, Garrett.
Yep. I'm just waiting for the ads to go away.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. By the way, I'll read this too. Former British Prime Minister Liz Truss blasted, I am appalled by the attacks on free speech in Britain and Europe. Yeah, we all are, Liz. It's pretty disturbing and disgusting. Thank God, at least at this point, we don't put up with it that much in America. Try as people may, so far we've stood up to it and we've survived this kind of thing. But yeah, in Britain, you guys are fucked. Good luck. And I don't have any interest in going over there, period. We can't truly be free without free speech. Yeah, no shit, Liz. Good for Elon Musk and X for standing up to these bullies. Musk knew the legacy media would bash the interview. He wrote, almost all of legacy media will trash the Trump conversation, thus driving total listeners probably past 200 plus million. Yeah, he's probably right.
Yeah.
Is the video ready?
Yeah, it's just a 10-second clip of somebody not being able to get in.
Of what? What
the article only has a 10-second clip of the somebody not being able to get into the Spaces call, like view it.
Oh no, the I think it was the first video I sent you was the Washington Post reporter.
There it is.
You see it there?
I do. Yep, I got it.
Okay. Yeah, there might be a commercial on the front end of that too.
Nope, all good.
All right, give it a spin.
Slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I don't know if the president is going to tune in. Feel free to say if he is or not. But I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that? Some of that was about campaign misinformation, but it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here about the responsibilities that social media platforms have.
All right, you can pause
when
it.
Comes to misinformation.
She's going to give her bullshit statement on the responsibilities of blah blah blah. What responsibilities does the White House have and the president? First off, we don't have a president right now. Let's be honest. We haven't had a president for a couple of years. So let's be crystal fucking clear about that. So his opinion on it means less than fuck all. And the idea that a press member would ask a question of a press secretary, like, what do we do? How do we stop this? Like, yeah, you know what? Twitter got taken away from you people, where you used to be able to just back channel this. Twitter files taught us all this, by the way. If anybody cared or paid attention, the Twitter files, Matt Taibbi's reporting, Michael Schellenberger's reporting was fabulous on it. I know people that don't agree with that and think it's great. Let's just shut down one side of the conversation, whether that's about a trans thing, any bullshit LGBT ideology, or something we disagree with politically, shut it down. It was disgusting to read the emails and the Twitter files going on between this administration, this specific administration, and people over at those social media outlets. On it, hey, can we take down this guy? On it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We all got to read it. We got to see what they were doing. You could feel it in real time. It was obvious what was going on. And these people are still trying to come to terms with the fact that that toy that should be just a public service at this point, that toy got taken away from them. That weapon, taking that toy and weaponize it got taken away from them. And so they don't know what to do about it. And the fallout from that has been that you've almost had to have these other ones kind of fall in line a little bit or look ridiculous.
Yeah.
By having another massive social media platform not fall in line lockstep with, a certain political party's talking points. And so, we don't see riots in the streets. The whole world hasn't fallen apart by people being able to say whatever the fuck they want on Twitter, which is the way it's supposed to be. Think of it like your telephone line. I don't need some government official coming in and tattling about my phone conversations in private with friends.
Yep.
It should be the same way. Doesn't mean it doesn't come without consequences. I understand that, just like y'all do. But no. So these people are still trying to come to terms with, what do we do when our side doesn't get blanket coverage in a positive way across the board? What do we do, Karine? Can you help us, communist, Marxist Karine Jean-Pierre? How do we fix this? And, she's I don't even give a shit what bullshit answer she gives, but this is a real fight we're in as a nation. And, depending on how this goes, I think it has huge consequences. I don't take it lightly. And I think Elon Musk buying Twitter, you cannot overstate how important that was.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
It is not just that the aspect of we took away their toy. It was the first time, because their whole thing was go build your own if it's so popular.
Yeah.
Well, you're never going to have the legacy of Twitter or YouTube or anything like that. You don't have that tenure and legend status to the website. It was the first time we were able to go in with the infrastructure.
And not to mention, when you get down into the weeds of it, what they were trying to do, what it was like, because there were broadcasters out there that went, all right, fine, I'll build my own. And they built their own. And then it was like, oh, how do we get the fiber optics companies to cut off their service because they're dangerous? Like, okay, now I'm supposed to build my own fiber optics to no, they know no bounds as far as how far they will go. Let's contact their bank accounts and make sure they can never make a dollar doing this. These are all designed to shut you the fuck up with your unpopular opinions. As popular as your opinions may be, that's the point of it. And the troubling part is it's very, very hard. Most people don't want to go against the grain. It's not fun. It's not fun to get attacked by people. And so you end up just going, fuck it. It's not worth it. It's not, I'll just shut up. I'll just, I'd rather not kick the hornet's nest. And so those people end up hanging back and not being honest about themselves. And I've got a story coming up in a little bit about someone that's coming outside of that shell, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes for him. Yeah. Do you have the Mr. Reagan videos I sent you, the Kamala Harris parody?
Yeah.
A new one dropped today. If you're not familiar, and as someone who used to do these videos, put these together, I'm a big fan of well done parody videos. And I think what's going on here is these are just AI, and it shows you the level that AI is able to take this stuff to. That, what is it, Chat GPT or, stuff like that. Like taking 20 seconds of someone's voice and then being able to, make them say anything you want. And so Mr. Reagan has popped out of nowhere. If you're on YouTube, you can follow Mr. Reagan. Tons of people. And it started with, Kamala. He did a video, or she did a video talking about Kamala Harris getting the nomination, getting the call from Barack Obama, Big Daddy Barack or something. I think they had, and it's a whole thing about, and it's just a parody video of that. And I believe that was the one that Elon Musk retweeted, and Gavin Newsom came out and was like, I'm signing legislation to make this illegal, blah, blah, blah. And Elon Musk was like, go fuck yourself. Parody is not illegal in this country, you idiot. And, Gavin Newsom took his post down. Well, here's one. if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook Live, you can watch along with us. Kamala calling Tim Walz, and this was so fucking douche-inducing, douche-chilling to see the original call. Like, oh, this is just a random call. We're just blowing in a call to Tim Walz to get the nomination. These goofy dork politicians calling each other like, will you be my running mate? I remember when Joe Biden and Kamala did this stupid thing. And so it's just her calling Tim Walz, who happens to be sitting there with his phone on speakerphone and a camera crew with him. Amazing how that works. But then the AI takes over and someone has typed in what they're going to say back and forth to each other. Let's watch it. If you get bored, Garrett, let me know. We can shut it off. But there's a new one today. But this is the Kamala calling Tim Walz about running the country.
Hi, this is Tim.
It's Kamala Harris. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Madam Vice President.
Oh,
Listen, you weren't my first choice. To be honest, you weren't even in my top 10. But no one else wants to run as my VP because they all know I'm going to lose. You are the only one who is willing to be my running mate.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically career suicide. But I did some dumb shit a few years back, and now I'm totally controlled by the deep state. And so they told me either I become your running mate or I get Epstein in a New York prison.
Now, the fact that we're both radical communists is a slight problem, but I got some instructions from Big Daddy Barack. Basically, we're going to pretend that you're a normal American white guy. There's a bunch of things you did that we got to run away from here. You passed a law requiring tampons in the boys' bathroom in schools. You basically cheered on the George Floyd rioters who burned down your cities.
Yep.
You implemented a snitch hotline during COVID. Yep. And Tim, true. You signed a law that allows the state to take custody of children if their parents refuse to let them transition.
True.
I mean, what the f***, Tim? We got a lot of cleanup to do here. But listen, we already got the mainstream media gaslighting America into thinking that you're super normal.
This is America's dad, America's football coach, and the teacher that's cool enough without trying to be cool.
A lot of people have noticed this sort of down-to-earth, likable quality to him.
Very moderate in Congress.
A moderate Democrat.
Centrist, but a more centrist.
Moderate. Kind of a centrist Midwesterner in persona.
That's pretty funny because I'm weird as f***.
Americans are dumb, Tim. They'll believe anything we tell them.
They are so dumb, right?
They think I'm black. Okay, so here's the plan. In order to hide your own weirdness, we want you to accuse Trump and J.D. Vance of being weird. Just say it over and over again.
Weird. And then they start being weird. They're weird. Weird. Donald Trump's weirdness.
Yeah.
Very weird. It's just too weird. It's weird. Okay, so how far left are we admitting to being here? Like, are we openly woke?
We have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
Yeah. No, we're flip-flopping on everything right now. We want to keep the voters confused. You know when your GPS suddenly starts rerouting inexplicably and you have no idea where you're going and you're afraid your GPS might just drive you off a cliff? We're exactly like that.
What do we say if reporters ask us about policy stuff?
Oh, we're not taking questions from reporters, Tim. We're not prepared for that. But if you do find yourself in a tricky spot with a reporter, just cackle.
Cackle.
Yeah, cackle.
You're considered the most liberal United States senator.
Somebody said that, and it actually was Mike Pence on the debate stage. But
yeah. And is that a socialist or progressive perspective?
No. Like, what do you want to know?
Wow, that's horrifying.
Exactly. It's horrifying, but distracting. Okay, so Tim, tell me, your radical left political views, are those real?
Oh, no, of course not. No, honestly, I will have whatever political views you pay me to have.
I love it, Tim. You're like the white male version of me.
You're right. No one voted for me either. Hey, Kamala, let's see what can be unburdened by what has been.
All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and then it's funny. It ends with paid for by the paid for by Professor Sug on These Nuts, which is what Elon Musk said when he responded to Gavin Newsom. He said, "I consulted with Professor Sug on These Nuts, who said parody is legal in America."
I love that it's childish.
Oh yeah, isn't that the best, Professor Sug on These Nuts?
Yeah.
There's a new one that just came out today, a couple hours ago. Do you have that one there?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is.
The one that came out today, one day ago, was the Trump Mux Chat supercut.
Yeah, and by the way, this is really like there's a shitload of parody out there that's not funny, that's not good, not well done. This is very, very good. This is very well done stuff. And honestly, if Mr. Reagan, he's probably a conservative. If he did one on JD Vance about couch fucking and Trump, whatever goofy things from that would be equally as funny, and I would play that.
Oh yeah,
for the record. So if there's good ones out there, I don't mind playing, looking at them. I mean, we should be able to make fun of all of these clowns. We have someone that's not speaking to the press, not doing interviews, not doing podcasts, anything. And you're getting fed so much bullshit by the machine that having these videos come out and spark a little bit is pretty funny. I don't even know if I've seen this whole thing, but it's titled Kamala's New Ad is Lit. And it's a parody. Check it out.
Recently, in a campaign stop in Nevada, I proposed my new, totally original idea: no tax on tips.
And eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Now, I want to tell you about some of my other totally original ideas that I'll roll out starting on day one. Because of crooked Joe Biden, we have an immigration crisis. But let's call it what it is. It's an invasion. And I propose a totally new solution. I will build a wall. Nobody builds walls better than me. I will build a great wall on our southern border, and I'll have Mexico pay for it. This is my idea, 100% my own personal idea. And another original idea of mine, on day one, the largest mass deportation in the history of our country. Totally original idea of mine. And another totally original idea, I'm going to strengthen our military. Joe Biden made our military weak, but I will make our military strong again. On day one, I will totally eliminate DEI. We will terminate every diversity, equity, and inclusion program. And we all know Washington, D.C. is totally corrupt. It's a corrupt swamp. So I'm going to do something no one else has ever thought to do. When I'm president, I'm going to drain the swamp. Again, this is totally my idea, 100% original. I'm going to open up a bribery investigation on crooked Joe Biden because he belongs in prison. Let's drain the swamp. Totally my idea. Only I can fix the economy, build the wall, end the war in Ukraine, and eliminate tax on tips. These are all my ideas, 100% original. And remember when I got shot in Pennsylvania? Yeah, I'm basically an American hero. That really happened to me, for real. Harris Walls 2024. Let's make America great again.
Listen to the end.
That was great, guys. Next time we'll talk about the corrupt FBI raid on my house. Or we could talk about how I built $1 billion business, or how tough it is running a campaign with crooked Joe's DOJ going after me with these corrupt show trials. Or how I married a supermodel. That's pretty cool, right? Hey, have you ever noticed that Harris Walls sounds like Harry Balls?
Mr. Reagan.
Yeah, there you go. Message approved by Professor Sugandhi's
Nuts.
I love it. I love it.
The smartest thing about that, too, was all the footage was just clips of Trump dancing or his advertisements with call space plastered over it.
And it's just a crude cutout, like magazine cutout of her face. I love it. Like, this is obvious, like what they're doing. It's great. There's a lot of subtle stuff in there. Like, they've got headlines of Trump, he's going to do this. And then there's just a crude S written in front of it. Like, she's going to do this. Yeah.
Anywhere it says Trump is crossed off, says Kamala above it.
Yeah. It's really good parody. It's well done. Good writing. It'll be interesting to see. But this dude took off out of nowhere in a 2-week period. And so we'll see. But yeah, Mr. Reagan, if you're looking for those videos, Mr. Reagan. And I believe there's 4 of them now. We just played the last 2, but the first 2 are equally good. You should check those out. The Harris campaign, by the way, is catching a lot of shit too for the Google ads, rewriting news headlines. Did you see that story?
No, I didn't see that one, but I have been getting way too many Kamala ads for somebody who searches the things I do.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to change. I mean,
if gay porn is canceling out the gunbroker.com sales.
Yeah, I bet. The funny one was, and they, it's crazy. It's just a glitch. This was an accident. This one, I don't know what Google was thinking on this one or what Facebook was thinking. But if you searched on Google right after Trump's assassination attempt, it would come up with like Kamala Harris rallies, like everywhere, like all of them. And then it was like, oh yeah, it was just a glitch.
We just thought you were looking for politicians in general.
Yeah, we don't. I don't know what that's about, but we're looking into that. We take this very seriously. Crazy how that works. So, the Harris campaign has been editing news headlines and descriptions within Google search ads that make it appear as if The Guardian, Reuters, CBS News, and other publishers are on her side. Axios has found, well, here's news flash for you, Axios. They are on her side.
Yeah.
Like, what are you kidding me? Do you think Kamala Harris is going to get unfair coverage from CBS News, The Guardian, and Reuters? I mean, come on. Nobody's that stupid. It's common practice in the commercial advertising world that does not violate Google's policies, but the ads mimic real news results from search closely enough that they have news outlets caught off guard. According to Google's Ad Transparency Center, the Trump campaign isn't running these types of ads. Can you imagine if they were? So here's a couple of them. So it looks like it's coming from The Independent in the UK, right? It's got the same headline, blah, blah, blah. Trump will pardon January 6 rioters. VP Kamala Harris protects democracy. And then at the very tippy top, barely understood for, paid for by Harris for president. This one, Reuters. It's got the AP, Reuters.com. It's got Reuters website. Inflation is down. Under the Biden-Harris administration, the U.S. is winning the inflation fight. Sponsored content.
Always.
Again, CBSNews.com with their website, their logo. Tim Walz tap for VP. Harris picks Tim Walz as governor. Tim Walz signed legislation to deliver. I got to cut off there. So AP News, if you're just looking at headlines that pop up, AP News has put out there, VP Harris's economic vision, lower costs and higher wages, a future where every person has the opportunity, not just to get by, but to get ahead. We won't go back to the failed trickle-down policies that hurt working families. That was also paid for by Kamala Harris. So what they're banking on here is stupid fucking people not paying attention, seeing the CNN logo or the AP logo or the Reuters logo or the Independent, name it, and seeing the headline and falling for that, thinking it's a real news story. You know, it doesn't hold as much weight now because I think most people know how the media works and whose pocket they're into, you know, like what team they're pulling for. They do a really shitty job now of hiding that.
They don't even try.
Yeah, NPR apparently sent out, Harris will lower health costs. Blah, blah, blah. Harris picks Tim Walz, 215,000 Minnesota families win. That was from WDAY Radio Now. So they're going into local markets and hitting local radio and TV, doing that kind of stuff. Again, Trump's campaign is not doing this. So, and if he was, this would stop the presses, break the news cycle for a month. This would be democracy. Someone is trying to steal an election. That's what the claims would be if it was Trump's campaign doing this. Be honest with yourself. That's what it would look like.
I was going to say Trump's campaign doesn't have to do that for that exact reasons because he gets plenty of press. He's good.
Yeah, well, she gets plenty of good press from these people having to suck up to CBS News and Reuters. Like, you already get good press. Trump gets a lot of press, but not much of it good. He doesn't get much good press. Google said the ads don't violate their rules, but platforms have in the past wrestled with whether this type of format can spread misinformation. Facebook banned the ability for advertisers to edit text from instant article news links in their ads, inciting its continuing effort to stop misinformation and spreading fake news. Google argues that because ads on search are prominently labeled as sponsored, they're easily distinguishable from search results. Well, I would say this, Google, there's a reason that the campaign wants to do this.
Yeah.
So it's obviously not as indistinguishable as you think. And in this case, it was very much not distinguishable. And thank God someone like Axios reported it and showed it exactly what was going on. A source familiar with the Harris campaign's ads team said the campaign buys search ads with news links that give voters searching for information just some more context. The campaign has complied with all of Google's rules, although a technical glitch in Google's ad library made it appear as though some ads lacked the necessary disclosures Google requires. Oh, yeah, you mean the disclosures where they tell you our fucking campaign paid for this? This isn't an AP news story.
Yeah.
This isn't a CNN news story. By the way, I don't think you're allowed to use CNN's logo and AP's logo. Like that's not yours to just, like, if you want to retweet a story they put out, fine. But you can't use sponsored content, pay for ads to run, and use CNN's logo. That's bullshit. By the way, Google, let's see. A Google spokesperson confirmed the glitch and said it's investigating what happened. Well, I hope they get to the bottom of that.
What a convenient glitch.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I know it's a tired take, but I wonder, has there ever been a glitch that went in the direction of the opposite party, a conservative campaign? Has that happened ever in the history of the internet? And
Probably.
I'm sure some dickwad will go, oh yeah, here you go. And they'll point out the hermaphrodite of the situation. They'll point out the 1 in a fucking trillion case where this has happened and be like, yeah, it happens on both sides. That bullshit argument where you go, no, we all see it for what it is. Don't give me this horse shit. Go ahead. What were you going to say, buddy?
I was going to say, usually the only glitches that help the opposition is when the opposing party to that, whatever, like let's say it's left and right. Usually the only thing that helps out the right is when the left gets caught on a hot mic supporting them.
Yeah.
That's the only glitches that help, really. And it happens often.
But they don't get reported much is the problem. Like if James O'Keefe does some blowout story that should sink someone, it never does. And if when Nancy Pelosi's daughter was caught on hot mic talking about how, insurrection my fucking ass. It's hilarious. She's basically mocking how stupid people are for buying into the insurrection claim. That's Nancy Pelosi's daughter, documentarian. And, clear as day, talking about what a joke it is, how this person's in prison and should never be. And they should, but people don't care. They're on sides. They have their sides, and that's all that matters. So the mainstream media industry is already fighting assertions of bias. No, really? I had no idea. These ads, even though they comply with Google's rules, could leave media outlets further vulnerable to charges of partisanship. Some of these news organizations might not want to be positioned as promoting one campaign, and this implies that they have a bias towards that campaign potentially. So the fear there is CNN, as impartial as they get, CNN, right down the middle, them. That this harms them when the Harris campaign puts these out and puts CNN's logo on it, looking like they're stumping for one side. Well, I got news for you. They stopped giving a shit about that perception. Oh, what about 2015, 2016? For some reason, I don't remember what happened then, but that's when they really went, fuck it. Impartiality essentially died in 2015. There's not even an attempt to look partisan. That's gone. It's why when the CNN anchor was on with Colbert the other night, and he went, well, you guys are impartial news. The crowd fucking busted out laughing.
Exactly.
The video's hilarious. Busted out laughing, and both of them were taken aback. It's like, yeah, dickhead.
I guess that's funny.
I didn't realize that was going to elicit a laugh line. He's like, oh, it wasn't supposed to, but here we are. Yeah, because it's that obvious. Even to people that would go to a Colbert show taping, even to them, they laughed at the idea, outward laughing at the idea that their CNN is impartial in any way.
I was going to say, there's
tell you everything. Yeah, I'm shocked they didn't cut that out, to be honest with you. Now this one's going to be an interesting one. Kirk Herbstreit. You don't know who Kirk Herbstreit is, do you?
No, I do not.
He is a former Ohio State quarterback. He is part of the game day crew on ESPN that does college football pregame. He is very highly respected, regarded. He's from Ohio State. I should naturally despise the guy. But there's a handful of these guys who have been able to truly be impartial over the years. And it's hard to not let your own personal biases creep in. And I've always given Kirk Herbstreit a lot of credit, even when he's calling a Michigan-Ohio State game. That's his college. He played quarterback there, and his absolute earthly rival would be Michigan. And if you watch a game between those two teams that he's calling, it's right down the middle. He doesn't open the window. He calls balls and strikes as he sees them. And I've never once gone, oh yeah, careful, Kirk, your Ohio State quarterback bias is showing. It's not easy to do. It can't be easy to do. I remember Chris Collinsworth in his early years as a broadcaster. He's an NFL broadcaster, former wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. And the teams he played on lost to the 49ers in 81 and 89, maybe. And he was on a team that had a great season and ended up losing the Super Bowl in 1981 in the Pontiac Silverdome. And when he first started broadcasting, I could feel his bias against Joe Montana and against the 49ers. You could feel it. That motherfucker, as competitive as he was, fucking despised him. Joe Montana beat him, beat his organization in the Super Bowl twice. I don't think he wasn't playing in that 89 game, I don't believe. Yeah. But, it was impossible. And over the years, he's gotten to where he is more impartial. He does, those guys all kind of, people pick them apart for playing fair. And every fan of a team thinks you're rooting against their team anytime you say something bad. So I get it. But I try to look at these guys. You can really pick it up when you're watching a game that doesn't feature one of your teams. You don't really care. And you go, yeah, that guy's playing it down the middle. But to do the Ohio State Michigan thing as an Ohio State quarterback, I think it's that would be really hard to not have any bias. And I don't feel like he does. Doesn't mean people have to agree with me. So Kirk Herbstreit is a very, very popular. I would consider him an A-lister for sure as far as sports broadcasters go, respected by everybody, not a hint of trouble. He's not one of these guys that you hear stories about, getting shit-faced in the bar and hitting on chicks and drunk driving. Like, he's just not one of those guys. And he came out. He didn't come out. Settle down, Garrett. Relax. He did not come out. But he says he doesn't give a shit about any pushback he may receive for his view on transgender male athletes in women's sports. And as soon as I read that line, I was like, buckle up, Kirk. Yep. It's about to get bumpy because you've been getting nothing but glowing media coverage for 30 years. Seriously. Herbstreit answered, of course not, last week. So an ex-follower had tweeted to him, do men belong in women's sports? And he wrote, of course not. The analyst expanded on his thinking on Outkicks Don't At Me with Dan Dakich this week, saying I've been biting my tongue on a lot of topics for 3 years. I'm done giving any shits at all about any of it. It's almost like there are two different sets of rules. And if you have a view that's a little more traditional, or I'm a Christian guy, it's like it's a different set of rules for that viewpoint. It's hard to just turn the other cheek time after time after time. Yeah, welcome to the party, pal. Like, yes, Kirk, this is bigger than it might appear. It'll be interesting because ESPN is fully woke. ESPN is this is ESPN Disney. So they are fully on board. Ask Gina Carano how it feels to have an opinion at Disney that doesn't go lockstep with what they think is the way it should be. Ask Gina how it feels to only be able to do something on Daily Wire for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So Gina wasn't an A-lister. This is like, when the running back beat the shit out of his girl in the elevator, and it's like, yeah, he's towards the end of his career anyways. It's easy to make an example out of him. What do you do when it's the fucking superstar in his prime? How do you sweep that on the rug? Because at the end of the day, these people don't give a shit about women. These owners of football, I don't buy it. They don't give a shit. How do I field someone that can bring me a trophy and up the value of my franchise? That's all that matter. For decades, they swept shit under the rug. And, now it's harder to do, So Gina is not an A-lister at Disney. So it's easy to broom her and be like, oh, yeah, her ideas have no place here. Kirk Herbstreit is an A-lister at ESPN. He's a big fucking name. Their college football programming is $1 billion enterprise, and he's the main dude. So he's coming out against this shit. So yeah, I'm tired of turning the cheek time after time after time. So yeah, I didn't really care, and I don't care at all, which is a good thing. I think it's good and healthy to get to that place compared to, oh gosh, I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to get people upset. I don't give a shit. I'm just going to say certain things. My problem is I have a temper. And so if I get to that point, and if that fuse gets lit, I let it go, and then I'll explode and say something. That I have to be careful of. Herb Street also spoke more specifically about his "of course not" response to that follower, in which he also called the question of women competing in men's sports ridiculous. I didn't dwell on it. I didn't give a long answer. That was it. I didn't realize it would be way more positive than negative. I'm sure people were upset about it. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I don't have a daughter. I have 4 sons. If I had a daughter, I would probably be way more outspoken about this discussion on this topic. I just kind of made it sound like, why are you even asking this question, is the way I took it. Of course not. Yeah, there you go. Of course not. Ridiculous question. He also added that his colleague Lee Corso had advised him over the years to avoid discussing subjects like race, politics, and religion publicly. That would be fine.
Yeah.
Lee Corso is the Joe Biden of sports broadcasting, okay? You don't know Lee Corso. He's a vegetable they prop up and treat like a toddler on the set now. He's one of these that doesn't know when to retire. So they prop him up there and you go, oh, look at Lee. Lee's got an opinion. And Lee goes, I think so-and-so will win. Duh. And you're like, dude, what the fuck are you still doing there? And everybody has to pretend like what he said was brilliant. They all have to kiss his ass like he's still awesome and his takes are solid. No, it's an embarrassment. It's the same bullshit that went on with Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve the last couple of years. And I don't mean to make fun of anybody that had a stroke, but you don't get to go on TV then. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're opening yourself up for something that fucks your legacy up. Lee Corso built a legacy over 60 years, coaching at the highest levels, broadcasting at the highest levels. Why are you dragging this dude out onto set? And his thought of, don't discuss subjects like race, politics, and religion publicly. That's fine. Yeah. I understand having that attitude. I really do. The problem is, Lee, ESPN all of a sudden they didn't stay in their lane with sports. They got heavily into this discussion about race and politics and probably religion. I stopped watching them years ago because it was disgusting how they were treating people, how they were making people kiss the ring just for being white. It was gross. It was obvious. They weren't staying in their lane. So yes, the conversation got there. And Lee, what you did by saying, don't get involved, don't talk about race, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, you fucking coward. What you did is you helped grow an absurd narrative by being a coward. When there's no pushback and one ideology is let run rampant on an airwave like ESPN for a few years with zero pushback, under threat of losing your fucking career and livelihood, no pushback from people. It felt fake. It felt fraudulent. And what you did was you forced people to shut up and not say anything. So one narrative, a crazy, absurd one, George Floyd, Michael Brown, name it, got out. Cops are all bad and attacking black people. Oh yeah, let's just clap and seal it. That bullshit argument. BLM is awesome. Yeah. When you didn't say anything, when you just shut the fuck up to keep collecting your paycheck, you coward. That's why this narrative was able to explode into this country like it did. That's what happened. So him coming out now. I try to stay on the sidelines for a lot of that, but you can only take so much until you want to start to speak up a little bit and actually say what you think. Good luck, Kirk. Good luck. This is not. I mean, maybe we're at a point. I'm sorry, Garrett. I'll let you interject here. maybe we're at a point where people are starting to truly see through this, not just fringe elements or people that are paying a lot of attention, but people are starting to see through. These arguments have fallen flat, that, all cops are bad, just out targeting fucking black people and brown people. Like, these arguments have fallen flat and don't hold a lot of weight. Most people didn't buy them to begin with. So maybe it's safer today to come out, but that's dangerous. Where Kirk Herbstreit just went on an outlet like Outkick, which is ironic because Outkick is Clay Travis's network. Clay Travis is insightful, smart, educated, has wonderful takes on things, but he's also conservative. So he is not welcome. He is not welcome in the polite company of the ESPNs of the world. Clay Travis is relegated to Fox News. You can go over there and spill what you want to say. We see it all the fucking time with these people. You're allowed to go on Fox News, and what do those people all end up saying? I don't know, I'm available to go on all of them. They won't return my calls anymore. They won't have me on. Yeah. My opinion is invalid now as far as CNN, MSN, ABC, NBC, CBS is concerned. Doesn't exist anymore. So you end up, if you go over to Fox News, there's a lot of diversity over there. There really is. I don't watch that much of it, to be honest with you. I really don't. But there's a lot more diversity over there than there historically was. And I imagine you'll start seeing Kirk Herbstreit over there, and he won't be welcome at ABC, Disney, ESPN, that kind of shit anymore. I don't know. We'll see. Sorry, buddy. I kind of filibustered there, but
oh no, you're good. I was actually saying that one of the best parts about at least the modern media landscape right now is that Kirk has a home on almost every platform outside of ESPN. I know it's a little weird. Well, I'm even looking at the comments right now. It's nothing but an outpour of support for Kirk from the fans. Yeah. So good. Even if I love the first one right here, just says, well, you were great on ESPN while you were there. And then it just goes into support.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the thing is he can now Barstool. You got there's a lot of other sport website brands that will totally take them in.
Barstool, Outkick.
Yep.
Blaze would probably love to have someone like Kirk. Is Blaze doing Jason, what's his name's show? I believe they are. Well, Blaze Network owns Normal World and Glenn Beck. It's Glenn Beck's network.
Yeah.
And who's the fat black
Jason Whitlock?
Jason Whitlock. Yeah. Whitlock's been great for 50 years.
He's on Blaze now.
He is persona non grata in mainstream media. And his crime against society is not falling lockstep in line with the narrative that black men and brown men are just walking around minding their own businesses and cops just walk up and beat the shit out of them or murder them. He doesn't believe that at all. And he voices that opinion that, no, you can be a black man driving around town, walking around town, and cops are not just going to jump you and shoot you to death. That's not how it works. So he doesn't fall in line lockstep with that argument. And he's also, and this is a really tough one for people these days, he's an out Catholic. He is.
How dare he?
Yeah. It's, and as someone who's not a Catholic, who hasn't been to church since I was 12 years old, not one day outside of a fucking wedding or maybe a funeral. And even then I can't wait to get out of those things. I don't mind his takes on it. It doesn't offend me at all. I understand other people have different beliefs and they're entitled to those beliefs and I respect them, whatever. And you know what? The good thing about podcasts are you can fast forward through shit. And if there's people that are disgusted by our takes on anything, they can bloop, 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 fast forward. Are they onto a story that I do agree with, that I do want to hear more about? It's the best thing about them. You're not forced to listen to anything. So when he gets on a big religious thing, I'll just go, okay, is he talking about the subject matter that I give a shit about yet? Nope. Okay. And I don't need to hear about Jesus. That's his bag, but I don't want him silenced for it either.
No.
So
I just want to promote, go follow your local podcast.
Yeah. Well, there are more and more, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, buddy, but there, I don't know if you had a list of other outlets or support for Herbstreit, but he might be in for a bit of an awakening. And, he would be like historically, like what you think of as your man's man, your kind of macho man's man, probably was a bully to some fucking weaker kids in high school. I don't know for sure, but it would fit that stereotype of the jock. He would have been an exceptional athlete, going on to play, having a successful career as a starting quarterback at Ohio State, and then his broadcasting career. So he's probably a pretty tough guy with a thick skin that can handle shit. But my guess is there's going to be arrows being slung at Kirk Herbstreit, who is about as, I can't overstate how much respect and love. It'll be interesting if the machine tries to turn on him. It's not Gina Carano. It's a different level for Kirk Herbstreit. That's a biggie. I know you don't know who that is. I get it. But, and I'm trying to think what I could compare it to in terms you'd understand. But, you understand someone that's very, very, very well loved and respected in their industry. And now what do you do? Because that is against narrative. That is against narrative,
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, man. We'll see. By the way, he's talking about the case of the female boxers. And that's a weird one, man. I know.
I've been hearing it getting a little contentious back and forth, like they might actually just be women with high testosterone.
Well, no.
See, that's the thing.
Shit. I should have
heard a little bit back on both sides.
I should have written this down. There's a term for it, like DRAS or something, or what is that? So what it sounds like you have is males that were in this, almost hermaphrodite level at birth. So born with a vagina and testicles as well, testicles inside. But then when you go through puberty, they went through male puberty. And this happened to the runner that everybody bitched about 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. Can't remember her name, but everyone was like, yeah, that's a dude. And she won gold medals and all that stuff. Since then, they didn't make her give medals back, but there was always this. She's since married a woman and fathered a few kids. So if she competed against women in the Olympics, in worlds and won medals, and everybody knew what it was. And I think that was another one of those. So that's why you get the XY chromosome, that when they go through that puberty, they're technically men, but it's not trans women. It's not someone that's born a man and is like, I've felt internally like a woman my whole life. I want to dress like a woman and be addressed as a woman. And please don't dead name me like that. That's different than what these Olympians are dealing with. Now, when you talk about the Algerian who won gold and then the Taiwanese girl or whatever that won gold, the Algerian, when that guy, whatever, was training, they stopped letting her compete with women boxers, like in sparring. She was fucking up every girl. And so they were like, yeah, dude, you're sparring with men. But then she was technically allowed to stay in the women's category. Yeah. So it's not quite as black and white as what we think of and what the argument has been for the past 10 years and longer for some as to what is a transgendered woman.
I got the name of it too. They've been calling it a hyperandrogenism.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that about that specific boxer? Because it's been coded. They don't speak very openly about this.
It just says the controversy was highlighted, a broader discussion, the role of testosterone in sports, what it is, and it says in men. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to her part right here. Women take far less ovaries. Yeah, just they're saying it's hyperandrogenism and the presence of XY chromosomes is part of that. That's right. It's a rare medical condition.
Right. And those exist. It's So you think
they got their LeBron? The women's boxing LeBron is a freak of nature. Can't be beat.
Maybe. Well, it didn't surprise anybody. It's like, yeah, of course, the two that have this condition, both won gold medals. And it's at the end of the day, I don't know what you do about it. I really don't. But, you know, it's really not fair to the girls. There's no way around that. You know, there's probably a more nuanced take that someone can give other than me. But that's why the International Olympic Committee does things different. Like, oh, we just check passports versus the boxing federation. That's like, no, we did a blood test and we did it medically, and it's XY chromosome means man. Sorry. You know, my guess is these two ladies, just ladies, can father children. You know, they haven't gone that far in saying that, but that's what happened with Castro. What was her fucking name? The female track and field star from years back.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. Chira Castro or something. Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling could face 5 years in prison, by the way, and fines of up to £214,000. I say that because this would not be in America. If Paris 24 Olympic boxer Imane Khelif, that's the gentle lady we're talking about, wins her case against them after she included the pair in a criminal cyberbullying lawsuit. Musk and Rowling were among the high-profile figures leading the outcry about Khelif during taking part in the Summer Games, at which the fighter won gold. Now Khelif has filed a lawsuit to French authorities alleging acts of aggravated cyber harassment, and the potential penalties at stake have now been revealed, as well as the prospect of yet more famous names being targeted, including former President Trump is another one.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing I don't like. I really do not like that the UK is trying to send us to their prison while we're still American citizens.
Which is why most of these guys will go, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Because you cannot be... I can't put out like a tweet tomorrow and get arrested by the UK government. Or like, what if Russia was doing this or any other place?
They are saying on camera that you can, and they will try to come after you. If you think you're a keyboard warrior and out of their jurisdiction, you're wrong in their opinion. Which, bring it on, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
How did that work out for the Brits last time you tried to fucking force your way on people? Good luck with that, fuckface. No.
I got a couple answers to your question.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a threat right there. Right there's a threat, Garrett.
I didn't even say anything. There's no words.
Yeah, we know what you did, and I see your "Don't Tread on Me" flag in the background, you son of a bitch.
I'd like to see the UK
company.
you
rot in a French prison. Actually, a French prison would probably be like a 3-star hotel.
Yeah, probably.
So, you know what I mean? Like, it'd probably be better than how
we're look gayer than
now.
An American prison for sure.
Maybe. The 25-year-old Olympian, who is not a transgender woman, allegedly has male XY chromosomes, led her disqualification from the World Championships. Blah, blah, blah. Her participation led to protests from many. And I don't think they mean picket sign protests. They mean people like us going, on podcasts and on Twitter, social media, as well as some of her defeated competitors protested as well, bitched about it. Nabil Bouti, the gold medalist's attorney, has now told Variety Musk and Rowling were both named in the criminal complaint. If prosecuted as online hate speech, perpetrators could even be fined $64,000 to $214,000. Mr. Boodle said Khelif filed the lawsuit as part of her fight for justice, dignity, and honor. Now, fuck her competitors' fight for justice, dignity, and honor. It's just Imane Khelif's fight for justice and honor. Because if you felt like you got fucked out of a medal because of a technicality like this, you would feel like your justice was under attack as well. Just saying, there's another side of that argument, sir, ma'am. The lawyer explained, he wrote on X noting that the ex-president, Donald Trump, would also be part of this investigation. What we're asking is that the prosecution investigates not only these people, but whoever it feels necessary. If the case goes to court, they will stand trial. And I hope they haul your ass to fucking UK, Garrett.
Dude, I want to get hauled. You know what?
That smart-ass remark you just made a minute ago and showing your guns in the background.
Fuck the UK and fuck the UK government. Come after me.
Okay. Well, you better not step foot over there.
Now.
And if they bring a plane, I might send him this clip. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I saw a prosecutor. He was wearing a wig. He looked
Actually,
darling.
can you send it to him a little bit later? Because I got some people who are going over there in a little bit. Not me, but
Well, just don't name them. Don't have any association
That's why I said some
with
people.
them. So let's see. While this particular lawsuit was filed in France, it could target personalities overseas. How exactly would that work?
That's ridiculous.
Honestly, like I'm going to need some smarter person to explain to me how that would work.
How does the American government let them do that, honestly?
Yeah. Trump tweeted, so whether or not he is named in our lawsuit, he will inevitably be looked into as part of the prosecution. In one post, Rowling shared a photo of Khalef's fight, accusing the Algerian of being a man who was enjoying the distress of a woman he's just punched in the head. Musk reshared Riley Gaines' post saying, men don't belong in women's sports. And he wrote, absolutely. So, I mean, if a prison term isn't set for him, we can't get justice as a country.
No.
Right? So men don't belong in women's sports. Absolutely. So if that guy doesn't, I mean, if that doesn't incite riots and...
I was going to say, you got to be careful saying that because they might come after you too.
Trump wrote, I will keep men out of women's sports. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's worthy of 5 years in a UK prison.
I mean,
prison.
5 years in a gay French prison. Don't forget the 214,000 pound fine too, because I when Trump says something is evil and instigating is, I'll keep men out of women's sports.
Yeah.
Clearly you need to send the message, and to a billionaire, 64,000 pounds is nothing. 214,000 pounds in 5 years. Can you imagine if all these show trials we've had trying to get Trump,
the UK gets him.
The UK gets him on saying something as tame as, I'll keep boys out of girls' sports.
A regular talking point in American politics.
How hilarious would that be?
Honestly, I hope they come after him for that.
By the way, first off, in my opinion, there's absolutely jack shit as far as jurisdiction you have in the UK for something said in America. We actually do have free speech. So fuck off, first off. But even if you were to do that, if one of all these guys did was tweet like, this seems horribly unfair. If someone like me is put in charge, I'll do everything I can, which might be fuck all, to be honest with you. Like, changing societal norms and opinions is not something a politician can easily do. This is my plan, whether or not I can get it accomplished. You saw how much they fought him on building a wall. You wait and see. Kamala Harris will forget completely about the tips thing. She'll never try to push that through. But watch what Congress does if Trump gets into office and actually does try to follow through with something like that. Yeah. They won't make it easy. That won't be as simple as like executive order. I'm just going to do it. Like, that's not the way it works.
Yep. So and then next election season, they're going to be like, look how little he got done, knowing full well they were the ones who stopped him.
Right. And both sides do that. They both try to fuck each other's agenda. And it ramped up 1,000-fold when Obama got in. Like, they were just like, fuck this guy, which is why he took the gloves off in his second term and started just going, fuck him. I'm just going to do executive order for everything. And he just executive ordered everything because he knew he couldn't get any help from the conservatives. And that really hampered Obama. I almost said Biden. Obama's 2 terms. And it absolutely derailed Trump's term, and they'll do everything they can to derail it again. Fuck the American people and what's best for us. That doesn't matter. If they can fight about it to the death and make sure that a wall's never built, or make sure that no taxes on tips ever gets through, they will do that, because fuck you people. They don't care. Can't you guys fight amongst yourselves about women in men's sport or men in women's sports?
Don't you have like a race issue to worry about?
Yeah. Can't we have a white cop beat up a black guy so we can act like the whole world needs to burn? That's what they care about. And the fact is, with lawsuits like this, you could really see the absurd levels of it all. These people, Elon Musk, and they never have, and they never will. And J.K. Rowling never has, never will. Trump to a lesser extent, because he's kind of a boob when he talks. He's a little more reckless, but none of them threaten violence. It's not like anyone said, if you see a man Caliph in the streets, maybe you should show him what it's like to get an ass kicked by a man. Like, that would be something where you're like, okay, man, you know, you might actually incite someone who's a big fucking tough dude.
I disagree, but I'd rather talk it out than fight him.
Yeah, you know, a man Caliph wants to go around punching women in the face. Maybe some man should punch him in the face so he knows what it feels like. Like, they didn't say that. They said something as, like, and the point is, they don't want the discussion to be had. In the UK, they're fighting this, and they're getting a lot further in shutting down speech that they just deem they can't tell you, they can't define it. And dude, this is very personal to me because when I worked at the Drew and Mike show, and I think it was Opie and Anthony's show, gotten a lot of shit for going through they did something that crossed a line and they got big fines. Howard Stern was getting fines. Opie and Anthony,
it was the death of the mayor thing. That whole
well, there was that one, but it was later than that. Yeah, okay. Mayor Menino, I believe it was, up there in Boston, and they did a St. Patrick's Day.
Was it Sex for Sam?
Sex for Sam, yeah. And so Mayor Menino, they said, died in a car crash. His family heard it on the radio. It was one of the biggest shows in New York, in the country. But no, they did something else. I can't remember what it was. I believe it was sex-related bodily fluids. And so we had very specific rules that we all knew. Everyone knew Carlin's list, shit, piss, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, asshole, tits, I believe, if I remember correctly. That was, bullshit. It wasn't true, but it was basically a standard. Like, stay away from these words and you should be okay. That wasn't a law, but it was just kind of, as a society, we all agree with that. Yeah. And then this thing happened, and then Janet Jackson's titty fell out, and the FCC went fucking nuts, and all of a sudden, lawyers were flown in to big radio shows all over the country, including ours. We had lawyers from DC, lawyers from New York, and these are the fucking assholes that will go to Congress and fight battles to get, whatever bullshit they want in funding and, stuff like whatever. They're those people. They're lobbyists, essentially. Your team of lobbyists. They're powerful Washington, D.C. operators. And they were telling us to just blanket, like, oh, just avoid, this kind of stuff. And I knew then, well, okay, I'm essentially Gina Carano. Okay. I am not Drew Lane. I am not Mike Clark. I am the one that'll get the fucking boot if some shit goes down. And Mark Fellhauer would be the one that would get the boot if shit went down. They would go, sacrificial lamb, these two fucking idiots. They're not the main voices every day that people love. And so I remember raising my hand just going, well, what is the line? You got to be able to tell us what the line is. And it was like, they could not define it back then. They couldn't tell you what the line was. And that's the famous story in that meeting where the lawyers determined that Butt Mike, because Mike would fart into the microphone, it was like, how is that legal then? If bodily fluids are a problem, if you can't have audio of someone taking a whiz in a bush, like, that's a sound effect I might play. That might fit into something. A man pissing in a toilet, in a lake. Like, if you're trying to paint a scene and you don't have video, you don't have visuals to help you, you paint it using audio. It's the creative background of it.
Classic Foley work.
Yeah, it's and we did it really well, but you needed to know what the line was. Like, okay, you can't play a guy coming and well, you could, I guess, but you couldn't have like certain stuff, but they couldn't define what it was. And that's the one where it was like, I asked, can you say the word N-word? And they were appalled. And I'm sitting in a room dressed like this, probably a Motley Crue t-shirt on, with a bunch of fucking highbrow stuffed shirt lawyers from DC and New York. And I'm like, no. And they're like, no one on Greater Media Airwaves will ever utter that word. I was like, yeah, great. Okay, I'm in the real world, lady.
What about the hip hop channel?
Yeah. Can the word N-word be? And she's like, no one on these. I said, I'm not trying to say the word dummy, but when Chris Rock drops a new special, historically we've been able to just play it because it's Chris Rock saying it.
Yes.
It's not us. We just play it. Do I have to, when Chris Rock releases a new special, I bleep fuck and shit and cock and whatever. But the N-word, I don't, because Chris Rock's allowed to say it. And we're all adults here.
Yeah.
You know, oh my word, I've heard a word, you know, no, but I
Sounds
need
like you
to
had
know.
a reasonable point.
Yeah. And they still couldn't define it. And so, you know, so the conversation for these people, they don't even want to have it where it's like, that's a reasonable argument. People that have a problem with men being in women's sports are not insane. That was just common sense thinking up until a year ago. And you know, this idea of you're going after your political people that disagree with you, it's absurd. I hope they do. Honestly, I hope they fucking do. Yeah. Go after them, because again, it'd be a totally different story if Elon Musk tweeted out, I hope these people are lit on fire and, you know, dragged through the town square by their balls, these ladies. Like, no, nobody said anything like that. Nobody threatened anything. Nobody incited anything. They just made simple points like, yeah, most of us here in the real world can see why this might be an issue.
Exactly.
Just saying. Riley Gaines has every fucking right as a collegiate swimmer in contention for records in college sports. She has every right to be pissed off that Will Thomas leaves the dude side, jumps into the women's side, and is now smashing their records. Yeah, I'd be fucking pissed too. And you're being dishonest with yourself if you can't see that argument. I don't know if you have a different take, but
no, my take's pretty much right there. I'm kind of a free speech absolutist. You know, obviously you're going to have consequences for stuff, but I'm more baffled about the UK's overreach on this.
Yeah, I am too. It doesn't.
One of the things is, I was going to say, I'm not afraid of them coming after me, only because we're at a point where Elon Musk was willing to pay for any legal fees for a Disney lawsuit. What do you think he's going to do when UK comes after him? Yeah, I'm sure if I get looped into that, he's paying for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Americans who will.
You're probably right, Garrett. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the point is. They got to know that they don't have the I mean, honestly, I'd be worried about a little bit about J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have a feeling that she is someone that is willing to stand up. And it's like, oh, really? You're going to take J.K. Rowling and put her in prison for a month? To go ahead. Yeah. See what happens to me when you do that. You know, martyring someone
of America.
See what happens to Europe too. You might powder keg that thing. If
they're
you were
already
to take
in riots almost daily.
Yeah. And they're imprisoning people. You know, they brought this on themselves. They brought this on themselves by having an influx of, you know, people that make the argument about illegal migrants. One of the dumbest arguments I hear from people is, I don't even see them. I don't even know if this is a real problem. I look out my backyard. I don't even, well, no shit, asshole. They're not dropping them in your fucking exclusive backyard. Yeah. What are you talking about? Like, that is such, do you realize 1 in 5 hotels in New York City is a migrant shelter right now?
Yeah.
1 in 5. So what does that do to the price of hotel rooms? Well, it gets a lot more competitive when all those rooms are gone now and paid for by you, the fucking taxpayer. Those rooms are paid for by you, the taxpayer now, filled up, whether they're sold, whether they're all used or not, it's a blanket package and they're paying for all of it. So this hotel is just being fully funded. 1 in 5 in New York City. Those that used to be reasonable lodging, 2-star, 2.5-star hotels in New York City, because we can't all afford to stay at the fucking Four Seasons.
Yeah.
So those 2- and 3-star hotels are now migrant havens. So that's what they've become. And by the way, the migrants have not respected those. They've been fucking destroyed, trashed, shit boxes. So if you wanted to travel to New York City and go spend the weekend, I'm not talking to you if you have tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket and can go stay at the Four Seasons for the night. But the rest of us, look for $120 a night, $200 a night, $150 a night hotels in maybe not the best part of Brooklyn, you know, but it's like, hey, I'm gonna crash here, put my head down for the night, and then I'm gonna go visit Manhattan and the beautiful Central Park. That's how a lot of people do it. Well, those rooms don't exist anymore. So it's emboldened the other hotel owners to jack the prices of their hotels, knowing that simple economics would tell you supply and demand.
Yep.
Those hotels are all sold out. So what used to be a $300 a night hotel and a 3.5-star hotel is now $500. See how that works?
Yeah, there's less hotels.
And the problem too is you're seeing a lot more rapings and stabbings. I mean, that just happened here. Let's see. I might even have the story.
Well, yeah, while you're looking for that, I can say that actually for a brief period in time, London, with this whole immigration crisis, became worse than New York City for a murder rate.
Which did?
London.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, London,
100%.
England. It became a worse murder rate than New York for a brief
Look at
period
France,
of time.
man.
Yeah, it's
Look
awful.
at France. Look at all these countries that were like, oh, my God, no human is illegal.
You know,
And then you
comments,
invite
actually.
the third world into your country. An unlawful migrant man is, and it sucks having to even do these stories. It does, because I totally understand migrant plight and poor people, trying for a better life. Like, I get the liberal argument for that. Like, it's just such a short-sighted, narrow view of reality. It's not based in reality. And we have example after example of this. And it's like, well, they commit less crime than normal Americans. It's like, yeah, but it should be zero crime.
Yeah.
How far are you going to get in Russia as an American citizen committing crimes in Russia or China? Like, how far do you think that's going to go? Do you think they'll just be like, do you think in China they'll be like, no, don't worry. One American rape our girl and then murder boyfriend, no problem. They commit very few crimes when compared to Chinese.
Yeah.
No, that's not. They're going to be like, get the fuck out of our country.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you?
They locked up Griner for a fucking vape cart.
Yeah.
I've got 5 of them on my desk right now.
Don't even get me going on poor Larry fucking Warm Beer.
Oh my God, yeah.
Remember old Warm Beer?
Yep. Otto Warm Beer, Mr. Larry.
Yeah, Mr. Larry himself. I mean, that dude.
NK.
I thought he was faking.
Colony.
I thought he was faking when they dragged him back here, fucking with his legs dragging on the ground. The dude was dead in 24 hours. He took a poster.
Yeah.
He took a poster off a wall. That's how a lot of countries react.
Yeah.
So, migrant man is accused of raping a woman at knife point in the Coney Island neighborhood of Brooklyn, while another man beat her boyfriend with a metal pipe. This, according to the NYPD. David Bonilla from Nicaragua approached a 46-year-old homeless woman around 9 p.m. on Sunday near the boardwalk in Coney Island. Bonilla offered her food and coffee in exchange for sex.
Okay. That's a transaction, I guess.
It is. It's not one that you typically see in this country.
Yeah,
I mean,
is it better or worse than a TV?
Yeah.
That's the real question.
But they have to accept said offer.
Yes.
Like, if it was like, no, the offer was accepted and then she ate all the food and everything and then refused to put out, it's like, well, that's a different discussion.
Then you have a problem. Yeah.
Now we have a different discussion.
Has more of a case.
Yeah. And it's like, well, I wouldn't agree with the raping at knife point, but, I mean.
He did kind of pay for it.
Yeah.
There was an agreement, right? This is why you get everything signed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You get documentation's good. Unfortunately, we can't just go on a handshake anymore. My word is my bond. That kind of shit doesn't fly anymore. So he offers her food and coffee. It does sound like a good deal. If you're homeless, I got to be honest with you. But,
hot coffee and a meal?
She refused. At that point, he was like, you fucking offered you good coffee, too. He grabbed her, threw her to the ground, and raped her while holding a knife to her throat. Meanwhile, his companion, Leovando Moreno from Mexico, attacked the woman's 34-year-old boyfriend with a metal pipe as he tried to intervene. Bonilla was charged with first-degree rape, second-degree assault, first-degree sexual abuse, and menacing and criminal possession of a weapon. Bonilla entered the U.S. illegally through Eagle Pass, Texas, wherever we heard that before. In December of 22, Homeland Security sources told the New York Post, he previously lived at a La Quinta hotel. So he was probably paying his way the nightly, I don't know what a La Quinta goes for a night, $170 a night.
Barely.
He was staying at a La Quinta hotel in Brooklyn. Oh no, that had been turned into a migrant shelter.
Okay.
So in April last year, just 4 months after coming to the country illegally, he was accused of raping and sodomizing a 34-year-old woman at the La Quinta. pulling her hair and holding her down as he assaulted her. He was charged with sexual abuse and unlawful imprisonment. He pled guilty. They let him stay in the country.
So this is a serial rapist.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to hear it if you're like, well, he's only raping our homeless at this point.
Well, that's
it
one thing
doesn't
that
matter.
a lot of people will never talk about, at least on the left side of the media, but something I've been trying to bring up is that we're not getting like the guy who wants to come over here and get a better life for himself. They're actually letting out prisoners in South American countries and African countries, and they're sending them to us because they can't deal with them. Like they're letting out murderers, rapists, and they're sending them to us because they can't handle it.
I know that's a Trump talking point right now, and it sounds so insane, even when he says it, that someone like me is like, no fucking way.
And I looked into it, and that's what I was like,
I did too. And it appears to be true. And it sort of makes sense. It's like, well, if we can, why are we paying for these fucking murderers and rapists to hang out in our prison? Might as well empty the psych ward too, which is another of his claims.
Yep.
You know, if we had honest reporting and an honest media, you might hear about some of this stuff, but you don't. You need to dig a little further. Sunday's attack happened outside a hotel housing migrants in a dangerous area. In other words, poor people area. So they don't care about our poor people that have to live in that area. No matter what color or nationality or gender they are, they're American citizens forced to fucking deal with it. In Chicago, in New York City, in Los Angeles. So now you're taking people that have the least amount of help, the least amount of resources, the least amount of law enforcement help, and you're sticking them in this awful situation.
Yeah.
You see how fucked up that is? I understand my little neighborhood in good old Franklin, Michigan, with my 1 or 2 police officers was not a concern. I wasn't worried about, needing help from the police. But in these, shitty parts of town in Chicago, in New York, in LA, all throughout San Francisco, name the major city. They need more help than most. Yes. And the last thing you need is to saddle what little resources they do have, like shelters. And believe me, I've dealt with these shelter people when we were doing the homeless stuff. And you can have a mom with 3 fucking kids on her own in an abusive relationship, got her ass handed to her by her drunken husband.
Yeah.
And they're in there, and it's like, oh wow, I can't believe there's little kids' toys in here. It's like, yeah, that's a woman and her 3 kids. She's in an abusive relationship, blah, blah, blah. They're here for 3 days. And I was like, for 3 days? And they're like, yeah, we just don't have the room.
Yeah.
So they got to fuck off in 3 days. I'm like,
this is what my mom deals with every day over at the women's shelter. It's every single day. Like, look, we can only bring in so many people for so much time, and then they have to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's look, we're giving you a space to figure it out from. We'll help you with your legal case, anything you need. But after that, you're kind of on your own.
You're on your own. And, and you talk to them and they feel terrible, and it's like they're doing what they can. But most people, it's a blind spot for. Most people look at them as a drain on society and in my way. And I totally understand that feeling. And the more of it you see and the more of it that's thrown on your streets, the more frustrating it gets and the more pissy you get and the less tolerant you get. Where, dude, I used to it was common. If I pulled up to a light and there was someone standing there, $5, $10, here's $2, whatever, all the time, all the time. You don't have to believe me, but it's fucking true. All the time. It was like, hey man, I'm sorry you're down on your luck. Here, lunch is on me. All the time. I didn't question whether there was a scam but now it's on so many corners. It's like, oh, go fuck yourself. No, I'm not doing this. And you don't want to get to that point, because where that escalates to, the fear is it ends up looking like what's going on in Europe, in some of these European countries. And now you want to get pissed at the citizens who are fucking flipping cars over, demanding change, pissed off about it. And now you're threatening them for their tweets or for their Facebook posts. These people are unbelievable. What do you think they're going to do? You had 3 girls raped and murdered, I believe, in London or something by some migrant just last week. That's what they're going ape shit about. I think 3 young girls were murdered, stabbed to death, macheted to death, whatever. And it's like,
shit.
And I don't have the story in front of me, so I can't give you the details, but I know that's what they're going fucking nuts about. And it's like, that didn't need to happen. You know, you make an executive decision to just open the floodgates and let the third world come in. What do you think's going to happen? That's what happened. In New York City and across the country, these crimes, including brutal sexual assaults, hit headlines every few weeks. I'd say it's every week, actually. It's not every few. In June, a migrant from Ecuador was accused of raping a 13-year-old girl in a Queens park in broad daylight after tying her and her 13-year-old boy companion's wrists together with a shoelace. A migrant from Turkey is accused of raping a 15-year-old girl in Albany, New York. New York City has seen an influx of more than 180,000 illegal migrants over the past 2 years and is still housing many of them. Kamala Harris was tapped to deal with the border crisis, but she's been widely criticized for failing to find a solution. I would say more like narrowly criticized. I wouldn't say widely. I don't think that's fair. I don't remember where I pulled this story from, but I don't think it's fair to say that she's been widely criticized. I think there's been wide levels of cover going on for her. There's a lot of cover being laid down. She wasn't really the borders are. No, we all remember the president saying it. Don't give me that shit.
Last I checked, Joe Biden destroyed what was being built to the wall and sold all the pieces for pennies on the dollar.
5 cents on the dollar.
Yep, 5 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
Which great use of our tax money. Thank you, Biden.
Yeah, already paid for and
already paid for. We had it ready to go.
Passed through Congress. So how they can just take that money that meant for this, and then just decide, stop where you are, back. And then sell it for pennies on the dollar. I don't know. Whatever. What do I know? All right, let's call it a day there, buddy. But I'll do an email.
Yeah. And I actually want to read one comment real quick. It's not a paid one or anything, but Lynn B commented earlier during the Elon Musk UK
Who
thing.
Did?
Lynn B.
Okay.
On YouTube. Yep. She said, one day the British government's going to want to use Starlink, and I hope Elon tells them to fuck off. And I'm like, that's perfect.
There you go.
I think that's what will happen.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how some of this plays out. Honestly, I do hope they go after him and Donald Trump and J.K. Rowling. You can't get three bigger names in global circles that are absolutely not afraid to tell you to go fuck yourself. Like, you pick the three. You pick the three that will outwardly and vocally, without hesitation, tell you to go eat all the bags of dicks.
I was going to say, throw Joe Rogan up there. You got a Mount Rushmore.
See, but I don't even think Rogan would. Rogan could and not worry about it. I know what you mean. But as far as like, Rogan's not going to tweet anything.
No, you're right. He doesn't tweet too much.
Right? Like,
but he would talk shit.
You're going to get, dude, this will up Elon's meme game huge. Like, he's great at finding the perfect troll meme and fucking throwing it in someone's face and not giving a shit. I can't wait. I hope they keep going after them, and they will make a mockery of their entire system with zero repercussions, by the way.
Yep. Because I talked to a lot of people from the UK, and they're looking at me like, yeah, I kind of see why you guys did that whole thing in 1700s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what my friend told me today. He's like, he literally just sent me a message out of nowhere. Hey, man, I'm starting to see what happened in the 1700s, and I'm not there.
Yeah. We're getting back to that. I hope they keep an eye on that.
Yep.
And remember that. Wokebait, you know what's fucked up? You get more positive email towards you than I get ever. No one ever says anything nice about me, ever. Here it is. Connor again, Wokebait. Mike, I've enjoyed the shows with Garrett. I don't care who anyone fucks and appreciate that he doesn't make that his entire personality. That said, when Garrett said he was taking notes during the Trump interview and putting smiley faces and frowny faces next to them is the gayest fucking thing I've ever heard. Hey. With love, Bone Job.
Sure I did X's and frowny faces?
I agree too.
It's a little gay. That's fine.
Were you going to pull them up?
I did some X's, some frowny faces. And I wrote things like big next to things I liked.
Yeah. Hey, we all take notes how we take notes, buddy. But that's pretty fucking gay. You got to admit it.
Well, I was also like, these are barely chicken scratch. I was working on extinguishers, and I'd hear something I like, oh shit, and I write it down real quick, and I go back to my work.
That's how you do it.
So I wanted to mark down the ones that were good and bad somehow.
All right, we'll wrap up there. Walters@DetroitCast.com. If you want to send an email, I did want to take a minute really quick. We're going to do a member show tomorrow. So I'm planning on doing a full show, but we'll just do it for our wonderful members. and
our favorite listeners.
Patreon.com/TDC Podcast. If you'd like to become a member, we'd love to have you in there. We throw a show a week in there. That's what we're trying to do. I want to welcome Michael Lemansky. Thank you for signing up, buddy. I appreciate it more than you know, especially as we try and get this thing back on its feet. Also, Brian, I don't know if I should say your last name here, Brian, but you know who you are. Just became a member. Thank you, Brian. That means the world. Also, John Moon. I've seen his name forever. And if you want to get your name read, just become a member. John, thank you so much. I'm sure I know a lot of you were probably members before and have dropped off. And with inconsistency, that happens and that comes. And so welcoming, I recognize a lot of these names. So welcome you guys all back into the fold. Yep. And do our best not to disappoint you and be there on a regular basis. So thank you guys for signing up. It's not lost on me how fucked this economy is and how hard it is to decide between thousands of options about what to spend $5, $10, $20 a month on. And for those of you out there that decide to drop it here, it means the world. And we'll continue to do our best here. So with that, we'll call it a day. Thank you, Garrett. We'll see you tomorrow for